Proverbs 11:24a. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, on the outskirts of a small coastal town, sat a tiny cottage, quaint and modest. This humble dwelling was near the sea, and the man who lived there enjoyed the salty breeze as he spent his days hard at work. His name was Ezra, and he was a carpenter, a handyman, and was good at it. He enjoyed using his skills to help others. He often lent a hand to those in need free of charge. Every day he would head into town to fix a leaking roof for a single mother or to teach some young men how to frame houses. When Katrina hit the coast, like a broom sweeping over the Louisiana Delta, leaving nothing in its path but shattered homes, it swept into piles of rubble. The townspeople were devastated. But the foundation remained solid. Ezra continued giving of himself to the town. He did whatever he could to help, building temporary shelters, making sure the people were safe, and helping them get their lives back together. All the while he was living in a makeshift tent beside a pile of debris that once was his cottage. Several months after the hurricane, in the midst of rebuilding the town, someone was sent to ask Ezra for help. When he saw where Ezra was living, he immediately told the rest of the townspeople. When everyone realized Ezra's great sacrifice in spending all his time helping them and paying no heed to his own dire situation, they called a meeting of the entire town. There were countless people who spoke of all the selfless acts performed by Ezra. A unanimous vote was cast to do something in return for his generous deeds. Soon, as was his custom, Ezra began to repair another family's home. After a full day's work, the family convinced him to stay for the night. For the rest of the week, the family somehow was able to prevent him from going home, and Ezra, unable to refuse their hospitality, stayed every night. Meanwhile, men and women of the town worked around the clock to rebuild Ezra's cottage. However, it was not going to be the same as before. They were building Ezra a spacious house, twice the size of the tiny cottage. All the people whose lives Ezra had touched contributed funds and items to furnish the house. When the construction was complete, they filled the house with beautiful decor, all of which had been donated. Finally, after a week of working at the family's house, Ezra returned to his home, expecting nothing more than to be greeted by a wind-blown tarp and a mound of rubble. But when he arrived home, exhausted, he dropped his hammer and stood speechless in joyful surprise as he was greeted by the smiling faces of the townspeople and the beautiful new home that they had built for him. So, the townspeople gave new meaning to the old proverb, "One man gives freely, yet gains even more." Proverbs 11:24a.